I was in a state of burnout. My default was that push, that force energy. And with this transition, I didn't have clarity on what exactly I was being called to step into, and then what the path would look like for me to even get there. And so I knew it was something, but needed some guidance. If I'm deeply connected to my joy and my ease, work becomes more fun and I drive more value for my team and for my business moving from that place versus proving forcing. But on the topic of not feeling seen or appreciated was, and Michelle, you push me on this a lot. It's, am I seeing myself first?
If you're ready to discover hidden wisdom and power deep within, learn how to lead from your heart and soul, and have a direct experience of the energies of life with your own body as the portal, you're in the right place. I'm your hostess and feminine embodiment coach, Michelle Lynn. I'll be your guide as we explore together what it means to fall in love with your own aliveness and how to enter more deeply and intimately into life itself. Welcome to the Feminine Mystery School podcast. Welcome, everyone, to our client panel, Real Stories of Transformation. I'm here today with women that I have a connection with and have been through coaching with me and are here to share their stories, their journeys, and what they were sitting with in their transformation. And so, Jess, we're going to start with Jess today. Jess, welcome.
Thank
It's so
you.
great to have you here. Jess is both a client and a friend, lives kind of down the road from me a little bit. We've actually gotten to meet in person. It's been such a really fun relationship. When did we start working together? Was it
2021.
2021? Oh my gosh. And we've had many, many sessions and journeys together over that time.
A lot of highs and lows for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I really watched you go from, go into this blossoming and stepping into like real, the things that you bring into session now are completely different than they were back when we very first started working together. I've just seen you become so much more grounded and sovereign and just in your power and like really being out there in the world and doing the thing. So I'm excited to share and hear more about your journey. Do you want to just let people know who you are, what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone. Like Michelle said, my name is Jess. What I do, so I am chief of staff for a company and it's super niche. So, our company sells machines that fabricate metal. So, what that means is any kind of metal that you see in the world, whether it be your dishwasher or a massive building or a street sign, that all has to go through a machine to be like shaped and bent. And so I work, I think, yeah, I'm one of 3 women in the entire company. So that's been a really interesting dynamic. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. Is there anything else you wanted me to share, Michelle? Is that good?
That's cool. And I think it's really cool because you work in this really masculine environment. And yet I think you bring a lot of your feminine essence into that and a lot of really paradigm shifting stuff that you maybe don't necessarily broadcast out into your company, but that you're just really holding in the work that you do.
I have
Yeah.
a really fun example of that happened last week that
Please share. Let's hear it.
okay, so being in this environment, my default in the past, really before working with Michelle, was to clamp down and sort of mirror that masculine energy. And what I've learned is more of that femininity, that softness actually is extremely powerful. So the example, last Friday, we had our all hands call, which is something that I own, and started the call off with, I like called one of the guys out because he was wearing this golfer outfit. And I was like, Austin, you look like you're about to hit the course. Like, it's a good look. And made some other comments about music festival. And so the point is that energy really set the tone for the rest of the call. Went into leading trivia. And I was just, Michelle and I talk about being in playful joy. And that's really my my essence. And so being in that, and I wasn't trying, I was just effortless, set the tone for the entire call, and everybody relaxed. And it was the most fun call that we've ever had. So,
Yeah, yeah. We've been in this, that's so fun. I love that you're sharing that because we've been in this conversation all week about magnetism, which is really this conversation about how our energy actually sets the tone of not only the room that we're in, but like the reality that we're experiencing. So I love that you shared that. Yeah.
mhm.
And I was reflecting too, because it's been almost a year since we had our last 3-month container, which feels crazy. It feels like it was yesterday. Because how I was going to come and talk to you is like, oh, I just got out of a coaching container with Jess, but that's actually not. It's been months actually. So I really want to get into this because before we did that, and the reason that you came into that coaching container was because you were moving from being a consultant in this company to actually stepping into a leadership role, and you're quite high up in this company. Like you're, kind of, I don't know if
Man, baby.
yeah, yeah. Okay, great. I was going to say that, but I don't want to take liberties with the reality of the situation. But yeah, you're like the right-hand wing woman to the CEO of this company, and you own a lot of what happens in the company. But you weren't before we did that coaching container. And so that was what, when Jess came into my container with me, we were working one-on-one, was your desire. So let me not put words in your mouth, but like what inspired you to want to receive this support for this transition? What were you hoping to get out of that? Like, what was that about for you? What was that
Mm.
moment about for you?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying the reason why I chose you, Michelle, to guide me through this container is I always feel deeply seen and deeply met by you, like no matter what I'm going through. So, for example, if I need softness and tenderness and just like to feel held, you meet me there. If I need to be challenged, which y'all, I can honestly count on one hand the people in my life who can actually push back and challenge me. And Michelle is one of those people. So yeah, in terms of the moment, I was in a state of burnout. My default was kind of that push, that force energy. And with this transition, I didn't have clarity on what exactly I was being called to step into, and then what the path would look like for me to even get there. And so I knew it was something, but needed some guidance there. And in terms of what I was looking to get out of it, and Michelle, I pulled up your email you sent me of the summary of our container. So that was really helpful. So my overarching goal was to really embody this visionary leader, like the one who inspires. I wanted to really feel more secure in my self-worth and joy, strength, etc. And then also that connection to my higher purpose. So feeling like it was less about the work that I was doing and more that I was co-creating with source or spirit. Wanted to orient more to freedom, to really this kind of revolutionary energy, changing the game. And then equally as important, what I was unbecoming. So as a consultant, I was really playing that role of kind of the helper, the facilitator, and transitioning now more into owner, leader. Like this is my organization to help grow. So
Yeah, really a journey of expansion.
big time.
Yeah, feeling yourself at the edge, knowing you wanted to break out, break beyond, knowing what was possible and what you felt you was the potential for you to be in, but being a little bit like, I don't know, how do I get from here to there?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really curious for you to share what were some of the big stumbling blocks or challenges for you on the threshold of that? Like, what were you sitting with that was crunchy or that felt like, I don't know how I'm going to get past this, or this piece is really in my way?
It was a couple of things. Like I mentioned, the my sort of habit of going more into force and push energy, which has led to a lot of burnout. So breaking that habit. And also there was and this is vulnerable to share, but I guess this is a container for it. Just some pain around not really feeling seen in the work that I was doing, like really seen or appreciated. Also, just some perfectionism too. I'm sure we can all relate to that. So, yeah, it felt like those were the big three.
No. And what were the key ingredients for you in shifting those things? First of all, do you feel like you're different? You know, you've moved through some of those things, but then if so, what were maybe a pivotal moment or a pivotal thing that dropped in for you that shifted that?
So, one of them is knowing that if I'm starting from a place of calm clarity, and like I mentioned, if I'm deeply connected to my joy and my ease, then work becomes more fun and I drive more value for my team and for my business moving from that place versus proving forcing. The other thing too on the topic of not feeling seen or appreciated was, and Michelle, you push me on this a lot. It's, am I seeing myself first? Am I appreciating myself rather than seeking that external validation from people? The other one, and this is, I'm still learning this and being reminded of this, is power, like what we think of as power, you know, kind of that, I mean, whatever, I don't have to describe it, but power and softness can coexist. And like that softness is the essence of my power.
I love that. We're really in a conversation about power this week. What is power and how do we wield it in a feminine way?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
not, you know, we were all taught the male, white male CEO way of wielding power and success. And I think we're in a moment which I feel like you're just so in it of renegotiating what those things mean. And you're really doing that kind of from the inside out. There's a lot of people who are maybe opting out of the system and kind of doing their own thing, but you're like, fuck it, let's go.
Do I think about opting out? Often, but we're still in it.
You're just like, I'm gonna be the glitch inside the matrix.
Yes, which I have a story about that if you allow me to share.
Yes, sure.
So another big win from the all hands last Friday. So something I implemented early on at this company was peer-to-peer shout outs. Like this was a company and team, everyone's starving for recognition. Like this is not my CEO's default is to like see and appreciate people. And so people submit shout outs before every all hands. We go through and have each team member speak to their shout out. And so it's always really beautiful. I always like almost cry every single time. But last time I felt the pull to just set the tone that this is not, this is bigger than a fluffy feel good exercise. And I didn't get Clay's permission to say this. Clay's the CEO. I just said it exactly like that. And I was like, you guys, this is human psychology. I was like, think about it. If you do something and someone tells you they value and appreciate the thing you did, you are more likely to do that thing in the future. I was like, have y'all ever heard of positive reinforcement? Like, that's what this is. And I said, my challenge for all of us on this call, and this is mostly dudes, I said, let's not wait until the next all hands to let our teammates know that we value and appreciate them. I said, even a simple, sincere thank you makes more of an impact than you may realize. And then the next business day, Monday, Lance, who is one of our biggest resistors, who I've had issues with in the past, post recognition for two of our service techs in the all company teams chat. And so it's just like, and this is not me tooting my own horn, but it's like when we speak the truth in a way that's authentic, it can land with people and influence behavior for the better.
Yeah, I mean, you're really a culture maker. And you're doing that in your own in your small company, you know, the small universe that you have direct influence over. But I just always am thinking about the ripple effects out into the world. And I think a lot of people who are tuning in with us are change makers. They are people who see a more beautiful world possible. And they
Mm,
know that they're supposed to be part of creating it in some way. And so I really, that's one of the things I appreciate you is you really said yes to stepping into leadership and creating culture and creating, like, we get to be the ones who set the temperature in the room. We get to be the ones who decide what is the culture going to look like around me.
mm.
Yeah.
Yep. And I will say, like, yes, it sounded brave and strong in the moment, but before that, you guys, I was doubting. I was like, is this too much? Is this going to rub people the wrong way? And then after the fact, had a bit of a vulnerability hangover. Like, did I overstep? So my point is, it's all a part of the process.
All part of riding those waves. And what would you tell people? What wisdom would you speak into the space to somebody who is standing at the edge of, I know I'm supposed to lead. I know I'm supposed to step forward with medicine for the world or with change in the collective. And I don't know. I don't know. Who am I? And all the things that we sit with. What would you speak into for that person?
I would ask that person to tap into their why. Like if you're feeling this pull for change, like why? What does this mean to you? Because I find that once we're clear on the why, then fear of other people's perception or whatever falls away in the face of that. And what I've been experiencing recently, this is an obvious statement, but I'll say it anyway. If your value, one of your values is courage or integrity or whatever, and you're living in alignment with those values by what you're saying and telling the truth, like you get so much energy from that, and the universe responds to that big
Yeah,
time.
I love that. So the energy shows up.
Yes.
The fuel and the resourcing shows up when we start taking those steps. Yeah. And I'm curious, how do you relate to those wobbles now versus maybe how you related to them a couple of years ago?
It's a really good question. A couple of years ago, I would have spiraled big time and I would have really internalized that self doubt and kind of taken it as truth. But now having even the language to be like, oh, this is a vulnerability hangover. This isn't really the truth. Like, this is going to level out. I'm able to hold myself through those things now. And obviously, seek external support when I need to. But yeah, I'm just able to hold myself better.
Mhm. And I think it's really funny too that watching you go through that process, which I think is just a really important part of the process to name, is that you were in this process of stepping forward into leadership. But it wasn't just this journey of like, okay, I'm just on this path and this is where I'm headed. It was like you started down that path and then all of a sudden all these like peripheral little like gremlins and shit started coming in, and we don't have to talk about the specifics of what those things are.
There are
But
a
it was
lot.
like, really? Now in the middle of this, when I'm on this like personal evolution journey, now this like gremlin is gonna pop up and try to destabilize me? Like, what is that?
Yes. It was like the outfits for the big conference, Michelle, a month or so ago. So you guys, FabTech is our biggest conference of the year. And again, mostly dudes. They're all wearing like blue blazer, like everybody looks the same. And I was like, I want to stand out with my outfits because I feel better when I'm embodying that energy. And so I had a session with Michelle about it because there was a lot of doubt. And Michelle, you had me put on the blazer and kind of just embody the energy that I was trying to show up with, was able to do that at the conference. And it was so magnetic and fun, and was able to connect and up level my network that way.
Yeah, like you knew you wanted to put on that outfit. You knew you wanted to project something out into that room. But I remember you came on the session, you were like, I really want to be this way. And then you're like,
I'm like, am I going to be ridiculed by these people for stepping into this power?
yeah, for being so radiant, for being so like, I want to be, and you're like, you had a red top and a white blazer. Like you were not hiding.
It was red, white, and blue. I was supporting American manufacturing.
And you do such a good job of also, I think, balancing the masculine and the feminine. So I think that's a conversation we're going to get into later this week in this immersion with magnetic is how do we balance those two energies in us? Because I think, and I'm curious your perspective on this, when we're talking about expansion and reality creation, whether you're in like the industry that you're in or not, it's my feminine resourcing and aliveness and fuel. But there's
Mhm.
also a healthy dose of like, we got to make a decision. We got to get shit done. I've got to like have a spine, you know? I
Mhm.
can't only just be in flow. So do you have anything you want to say about that dance that you do so naturally between the two?
So, Michelle, my default is heavy masculine energy.
Hmm. Hmm.
And through our work together, you've helped me turn up the volume on the feminine. And I'll say, I know when I'm leaning too much my masculine, when I start to feel kind of like dry, that's the word that's coming to mind, just kind of like dried up and hollow a little bit. And then what I like to do, sometimes even before big calls, actually, I do this before every big call, is I'll have a dance party. Like, I'll put on whatever fun music and just like shake my ass in the mirror and like whatever. And that helps me channel that playful joy into the masculine, which I already carry so naturally.
Yeah. I feel like it's hard to remember those things, you know? Like when we're sitting here having this conversation, it's easy to be like, yeah, I fucking love to dance and I love to be in my feminine energy. And then we get into the masculine and it's just like bore-sighted on where and what we're doing and where we're going. And it's like we don't even remember. It's hard to, you know. So what are some of your rituals of remembering? I know you like to dance, but what are some of your like things that you drop in with on a regular basis that enable you to be in this projection of leadership and power?
Hmm. Let me think about that. Even if I'm not dancing, music is something that stirs my soul and allows me to feel connected to something bigger than myself. So this is going to sound so basic, but I love Taylor Swift. Um, and so listening to her before big calls, even doing like the drop-in meditation, Michelle, that you sent to me back in 2021. I've done that hundreds of times now. And so even taking 10 minutes to pause and check in and be like, how is my body today? What's alive in my heart right now, in my womb space, whatever. And so, yeah, I think it's just pausing long enough to check in and tap into that.
Yeah. Was there anything surprising that you experienced through this journey of embodiment work or self transformation? Anything unexpected?
Like I already mentioned, just the click of how power and softness coexist. And that I think there was a lot of fear around if I show up playful, and obviously there's a balance, like I can't be unserious, but if I show up playful, am I going to be taken seriously? Like, am I going to lose respect if I show up authentically? And so the surprising thing, I guess, and this has been proven, is my natural essence is enough. Like I can trust, that these things that come naturally to me, playfulness, whatever, that lifts the energy of other people. And my hard skills, whatever, like those speak for themselves.
I love that. My natural essence is enough. I love that. I know you've got to get going, but I'm curious as we're wrapping up, two more questions. One is what's next for you? What's your next expansion? What's next on the horizon, if you know? Maybe you're just enjoying the fruits of your current, but yeah, what's
So
next?
what's next for me? We talk about tuning into our bodies and our truth. So as much as I've been grateful for this environment, I've learned recently that I have hit the ceiling. And so I've outgrown this arena. And so I am planning to leave after I get my big bonus at the end of the year and then land a bigger arena early next year.
Amazing.
So,
I love that. I remember in at least one of our sessions, we had this idea of kind of the chessboard coming in. And like, I think this has been something that's been present for you over a long time, is feeling like I can see the chessboard and I feel sometimes actually like I'm playing on a whole different chessboard. And
yes.
that's the calling, right? Into your next possibility, into your next potential, into your next expansion, into what's available for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love that. Is there any other wisdom or anything else you want to speak into the space for the people who are tuning in this week with magnetism and power and reality creation and transformation and expansion?
I guess the reminder, I've already said all this, but I'll just reinforce it, is that you have nothing to prove. Like your essence is enough. Remember to see yourself first and to just pause and acknowledge and appreciate you for all you are and also what you do. And then just one quick story, Michelle, for how you and I got connected. So my sister was the one who connected me with Michelle. And this, I guess, is back in late 2020, maybe when you guys were working together. And I remember her being like, okay, I found this coach. She didn't have a job at the time. And she's like, I really want to invest in this. And the Virgo in me, I was like, bro, like, is this a good financial decision? Like, I don't know. And she was like, I'm just really feeling like this is what's right for me. And so because of her bravery, and I started seeing the evolution in her, I was like, oh shit, like I need to get connected with her too. And so I'm just really grateful for Jen, my sister, saying yes, because Michelle, you've helped me a ton, and I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for your support. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure walking beside you and seeing your brilliance, seeing you channel Taylor. And I think you're also a testament, and I hope you guys can hear this if you're listening to that, transformational work, it feels hard sometimes because there's a lot to confront and it can be heavy, but it can also be playful and joyful. And that's something that I've really appreciated about you, is always just coming back to that joy and playfulness and lightness of being in the whole process. So
Thank you.
yeah.
And okay, last thing I'll say, you've got me on a roll now, because you just reminded me of this amusement, like finding amusement, even when things are like super freaking annoying or people are driving you up the wall. Like there's something so liberating and freeing about just being amused. That's it. It's helped me a lot the last 9 months in this role. So
yeah, there's lots of levels. The cosmic joke,
yes.
How can I not take myself so seriously?
1,000%.
Yeah. All right. Such a joy to be connected with you, my dear. Thank you for being here. Love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please leave a review. It really does help get this podcast in front of more people. And come check out my offerings at embodiment-alchemy.com. If you're a way shower who wants to fully express your gifts in the world, then Force of Nature is for you. I mentor leaders, creatives, and messengers who are here to dream a new world into being. If you know you're here to lead, but want to do it in a new way that reflects your deepest held values and truths, and honors your feminine being as a source of power in its own right, I can help you. Many times, leaders and way showers feel their insides don't match their outsides. They want more clarity about their gifts and role in the new paradigm. They want access to deeper sources of intelligence and support getting unblocked so they can show up more powerfully. If that resonates, you're exactly the kind of person I do my best work with as a coach. Come check out my bespoke mentorship, Force of Nature, for women who want to move the world. The link for Force of Nature is in the description for this episode, or you can head to embodiment-alchemy.com to find out more.